Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Severe Weather. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about the event that's going to be going on tonight. I am the Severe Weather Watcher, or if you're on YouTube watching this video, it's on Severe Weather 2. So we're looking at the event that's going to be going across the Great Plains tonight, parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and the Panhandle of Texas. You can see right here. So right now we are on the National Weather Service's ustornadoes.com. Just trying to take a look at the event that's going to be going on tonight. Now this event tonight is kind of it's a pretty active weather event that it's going to be. There's a lot of things to talk about, and on Pivotal Weather, I'm going to be looking at a couple of different models, not just the high resolution model, but also the GFS and probably the NAM too. Even though it's going to look a little bit worse on the NAM for the forecasting that's going to be on there. Notice the 15% hatched area right here. This is a 15% additional hatched risk for long track and strong supercells that's going to be going through the Great Plains. That could be very, very potential for some damaging and maybe even intense tornadoes going through these areas tonight. It's going to start this evening into the night hours. So there's a lot to go through. So let's just bear with me and try to follow me with this. And so this is the convection outlook that we're looking at right now. So let's look at the current conditions. That's for tomorrow. That'll be updated, and I'll go over that later. But notice right here, you got this cold front that's going to go through, and you got this little wedge that's coming off with that warm front right there. Outflow boundary line here on the panhandle. All right, so as this low is moving into position here, there's already a high wind advisory in this area right here on the panhandle going into parts of Colorado and New Mexico going into the panhandle of Oklahoma as well. That high wind advisory is going to move and shift into those Great Plain regions right there where you're going to get high wind advisories before anything else that's already apparent. So that cold front's going to be just kind of pushing everything along at a very intense kind of speed. It's going to be moving pretty quick. Excuse me. So even without the tornadoes tonight, you could have some damaging winds, even regardless of the tornadoes and the tornado threat. Temperatures down there are already 85, 79, 73. Already got that warm sector that's in place right there with some warmer temperatures. So that's not going to be good for your instability in that area. It's going to make the atmosphere a little bit more unstable. And then, right here around where you got that front, behind it is that cold, frigid air, 47, 52, down at 30 over here in Arizona. So you got some cool temperatures back there. Also some warnings for some freeze warnings and some cold weather warnings that are going on in these areas back here. So it's going to get much cooler after this is all passed. All right, dew points already looking at 46, 48, 54. So those dew points are rising, and they will be rising throughout the evening. They'll probably get a little bit wetter and a little bit wetter conditions, that warm, moist conditions. Once you go outside of your house, if you live in the Great Plains in these areas, if you go outside and it feels like it's straight up like the Amazon, where it's just really hot and really muggy, that's bad. That means that your atmosphere in those areas is very unstable and a weather event is likely. So that's really what it feels like before you get a weather event like this. It's going to be really hot and muggy, like you're in the jungle, in the rainforest. All right, so those CAPE levels really shooting up, over 1,000 right now, surface CAPE levels. Got those winds moving in. You can see those northerlies and northwesterlies kind of coming in there and blowing through that area right there. All right. Wind shear is it's gonna be tip top tonight on the wind shear. Looking at already 100 knots, 110 knots of wind shear in these areas. Here, so we got a lot of wind shear moving into that area right now. That's going to be moving into the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, already going through Colorado and New Mexico in these areas here. Surface vortice is already up there in some areas here. You already got, what, 50, 25, 25 high indices of surface vortice. These are going to increase throughout the evening, and they're going to be more widespread as this weather event comes. Even in these blue areas, got low levels of surface vortice already in these areas here. So that instability is starting to kind of show its colors here in a little bit here. Supercell composite is narrowed mostly by those cape levels, and those cape levels where that instability is at, it's like a pocket of instability right now. But that is probably going to be a little bit more broad as we get it later on into the evening hours, when we get closer to the event. That's probably going to be a little bit more widespread. You're going to see those dark blues that are probably going to shoot up into the storm a little bit more into these areas or stay just ahead of them. I'm not really sure. Got to see how it develops, but the from what the National Weather Service says, the ability and the likelihood of strong long track supercell development in this area is very, very likely tonight. So that tells me that this supercell composite is probably going to jump up a few notches this evening. All right, so tornado parameter, we already have significant tornado parameter in Texas over here. I'm not really sure how this is going to develop as we get closer to the event and this weather blows in. There's a lot of different ways it could go. So with the tornado parameter, I would like to see later on how much it increases, and how widespread it's going to be, exactly what it's going to do. This is one of those things you really can't predict in this situation. So there's a lot of variables here. EHI helicity is already pretty topped in the area right there in central Texas, central eastern Texas. So we already got helicity, we already got that power available and that instability in the atmosphere that is going to feed these storms and make them, give them the power that they need to really roll out some severe weather. Our LCL heights are already at 750 in this area, and this is before the event is even started. So that's probably going to drop down a little bit. All right, so going over to the Storm Prediction Center's official website, you can see that moderate risk. It's right there going up into Kansas, parts of Oklahoma, around just that corner there of the panhandle of Texas, circled by that enhanced risk and that slight risk. Anywhere in this area tonight around the slight risk and even in the marginal risk could get maybe on the lower end some spin-up tornadoes, brief tornadoes, or even some ones that might last on the ground for a little while but not be as powerful as what you might see in the slight risk area. But anywhere in this area tonight, there could be tornadoes, some damaging wind gusts, definitely a hail threat. The tornado risk, that is primarily where they're looking. But anywhere around this area, you could have tornadoes tonight. It just seems like the atmosphere is going to be pretty supportive for them. Wind, you're going to have high winds everywhere. Notice that hatched area right there. That's our danger zone as far as tornadoes and damaging wind gusts that are going to be in that area right there. Those are the areas in that moderate risk. Anywhere in there, you're going to have some very damaging, possibly damaging and very high winds tonight. And the hail threat as well. 10% additional hatched area right there for the hail threat. This hail could be anywhere from the size of a quarter to 2.5 inches, so we're looking at damaging hail threats tonight. Definitely something to pay attention to and to be mindful of tonight. I read the description from the National Weather Service, and this is, really what they were saying. Long track, strong supercell development is possible this evening and into tonight. So now we're going to go over to the models. This is the high resolution model. So we're going to take a look at a little bit of data. And as I do in every video, this is the first time I'm looking at this data. I didn't preview any of this or anything. So we're going to go through it together and kind of go through the motions of tonight and see what the deal is, what's going to happen here. All right, so I can start to see these things kind of developing down a line. That's probably going to be along the front. So let's see. So you can see these isolated cells that are starting to pop up right here. So this is the thing that you got to look for. And that's the worrisome kind of thing. These isolated little spotty cells right here, the way that they drag that way, they're kind of heading towards the northeast and they're dragging that kind of way. These are the cells right here that are going to be the worst, you know what I mean, the highest threat, the thing that you got to worry about, because there could be embedded supercells in all of these, and you could have some tornadoes drop out of some of these cells. So we're going to put that thing right in the middle and see what the atmosphere is doing in that area. So the high resolution model is bringing up a tornado threat. Classic supercell curvature right there. Supercell 17.8 development, 1754 in surface cape. So it's pretty unstable. Nice stable wind field. Got a broken cap there. Moisture going up into the air. Got some, as we saw before with the temperatures, got a warm sector there. So there's definitely heat going up in the air. LCL's kind of low there, below 700 to roughly just above 850 kilometers. About 1 kilometer, or I mean, 1 kilometer, I'm sorry. All right, so yeah, definitely a tornado threat there. So that's those isolated cells. That's what I'm talking about there. And as we go on to the next frame, you can see those cells getting bigger and stronger in that area right there, and that tornado risk goes up higher. So supercell 36.9. Supercell development. So very, very strong night for supercell development. And that's that long track, strong supercells that they were talking about that's going to be going through these areas. Got a stable wind field. Doesn't really look like much on the cap right there, but then up higher in the atmosphere, you got a little bit more of the breaking, the heat, and the moisture. The LCL is still sitting there around just above 1 kilometer. So definitely a higher end tornado threat with that, with the high resolution model. And as we go on to this evening, it looks like more of those cells are popping up. They're all spotty, those isolated cells that are going up there. And they are, it seems like they're just kind of tapering and running off to the northeast. Now you're seeing this, the way that this is kind of broken up towards the, I mean, a little bit up in the atmosphere, a little bit with that heat, that, that kind of, it tells me that it's a little bit of an additional sign to that instability in the atmosphere right there, because this is rising, you know what I mean, and getting up there higher in the atmosphere than the surface level. So that's where those tops are going to get, you're going to get those runaway and renegade tops that are going up there and breaking at the higher level. It's going to give that power and that helicity and that ability to the top of the storm to really roll out some severe weather. Surface Cape is 1265. It doesn't look, it's not the highest. The Cape I've seen all the way up to 3,000, 6,000 sometimes, but you don't need a whole lot of surface Cape. You just need enough in order for severe weather to roll out. And like I've said in other videos too, I've seen tornadoes roll out in 500 Cape levels, anywhere from that to 6,000 Cape levels. So, and our supercell development is high, 24.7. So that's a pretty high supercell development rate. And then it seems like these cells are starting to dissipate after that point once it gets through that moderate sector, and then you get a marginal tornado risk. Supercell development is still very high, but the tornado risk is there. It isn't zero, but it is lower. And this is going around the 03Z time frame, so this is going into the overnight period where you're getting that, and that's becomes more widespread, and it starts to break up a little bit. A marginal tornado risk drops at this point after that event. So really the most dangerous time is going into this evening and in the overnight area, into the overnight hours where you're getting these isolated cells pop up. This is the 01Z hour. So anywhere from the late evening going up into the midnight hours and upwards of that, then that's when you're going to get these cells popping up late at night. And these isolated cells are going to pop up there, which is the worst. So what I would say is, and I mean, this isn't something to get freaked out about, you know what I mean? I don't want everybody panicking and going crazy about this, but now is the time, while it's still early, it's 4:36 p.m. this evening or this afternoon. Now, excuse me, is the time for you to get with your family and develop that plan. Make sure you have your resources, make sure you have your safety equipment, make sure you have that plan in place for your family to get someplace safe. Have some water in there, have some food in there, have a radio, have some way to get weather warnings and advisories in your area down there. If you don't have an underground shelter or something like that, or if you don't know somebody who does, I mean, we take into the proper precautions in your home. Get to the center, the lowest floor of your house and the center room of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside walls as possible. That is the thing. Get the lowest that you can. Get as low as you can, and have that safe place ready for your family, because tonight it's not. I mean, and it might not be as horrible as it looks on the model, but you still want to be prepared. Tonight is one of those nights that even if you have a severe thunderstorm warning, have your family in that safe place. Have your family prepared and already in that safe place where you will be safe, because tonight is going to be a little bit one of those more active nights. So the National Weather Service did say that they anticipate the possibility of intense tornadoes. So this could mean it could mean long track tornadoes, but even if they're not long track, I would say the likelihood of them being on the stronger side is definitely apparent. And I mean, I'm not talking about, this might not be, like an F4, F5 night, but even if you get a, strong F2s, strong EF3s, you know what I mean, those kinds of things, those can do severe damage to your property, to life, to your home, to all kinds of things. So this is the time. Have your family in place and have that plan in place there for having your family safe. We're going to go over to the GFS and take a look at this same kind of weather event here as we're going through. This is the 12th. Let's go to this update's a little bit more broad. It's more widespread in its time frame. So let me see here. GFS is kind of spotty at that. I'm going to go right to that corner of the Oklahoma Panhandle right there, where you're getting that marginal tornado risk, but you can see that heat and moisture going up there. The wind fields look exactly the same too. They're reading surface Cape only at 609, so this is downplaying it a little bit, which might not be good for the forecasting model, but let's take a look at the next frame, which is the 03Z hour. So the GFS is reading something very different from the high resolution model. Let's check out NAM, and let's look at the NAM, see what the NAM says for the 00Z hour as far as what the atmosphere is doing. Wait. We're on the wrong day. We're on the wrong day. This is the 12Z hour, 15Z hour, and then going up to the 18Z hour. Should start to see that instability that's going to be there now. Yeah, broken cap, heat and moisture going up in the atmosphere. Wind fields are stable. It's not reading any CAPE, but that might be the NAM model the way that it is. All right, and as this kind of continues along, so it's not picking up what we were noticing before in the high resolution model. It's one reason why I use the high resolution model. I think it's the best model to use. One of the best, definitely. Okay, the UK Met might come up with a different thing here. Yeah. Surface precipitation. Oh, let me see. What do I want to use? Trying to figure out which model that I want to use. All right. So 500 millibar height vortice going through this evening. Let's take a look at that. Let's go back one frame. All right, so that vortice, you can see that kind of land cyclone that's going in there with that high vortice right there. And as it moves into this area through the overnight periods into the early hours of the 13th, then you can see it moving into that area of where we're going to have this severe weather. You can see those purples right there. That's going in there. That's going to be that high probability for high surface vortice. As this land cyclone moves along with that low pressure system up to the northeast. All right. So I wanted to look, yeah, I mean, I wanted to look at a couple of different models just to get a good picture of what it is that we're looking at here. Upper air, let me see here, severe weather, mixed layer CAPE. What are we looking at? The 14th, 12th, 18Z hour. Okay. There's that CAPE levels. There we go. looking at 1386 joules a cape in that area, and that's going to be around the 00Z hour when this is all kind of coming into its own kind of formation there. And then we look at the next frame, and it kind of goes down in that area where that moderate risk is at, but it moves a little bit further east where you're still getting 1279 joules a cape as it continues along, and then eventually tapers off after the event and calms down. So you can see that the mixed layer cape there, that's kind of doing that there. Let me see here. All right. Well, that's not really telling me a whole lot. Let's go to the 00Z hour, the same. Okay, so you can see that there, 24, it's Celsius right there. And that's that temperature and height and wind that's going into that area right there. As we go into the next hour, that should shift a little bit further east. And it does taper off. So you do have that warm sector. That's when it's going to be at its highest right now. This, you know what I mean, that warmth and that moisture and that height and that high wind that's going on with that front, that's really what's going to be pumping the fuel for this storm to really roll out. And then after that, it goes into the next frame when when those cells start to become more widespread, like I showed you in the high resolution model. They start to, you know, weaken and dissipate and get more widespread, and then they start moving east. And that's when it's all going to kind of start tapering off a little bit. But you can definitely see where that land cyclone is at with the low pressure system moving up to the northeast. You can definitely see it there. All right, so with all this in mind, we're going to take a quick look at the radar here as far as my radar. Right now we're getting a little bit of that calm before the storm. Got a little bit of rain that's going on through this area as well. You can see that low pressure system with that cold front that's moving in there. That warm front that's just above of it, you know, above it there. Outflow boundary line just ahead of it, moving through Texas right now. The central portion, kind of central western portion of Texas right now. Notice all these warnings that we already got over here. Hard freeze warnings, high wind warnings, got high wind warnings everywhere. So you can already tell that just ahead of this line right there where this is all happening, you're getting really, really high winds and possibly some damaging winds that's going to be going in here. This stuff right here is going to be moving up into this area into the east and start running away to the northeast here. This is going to kind of, you know, branch out. But this right here is what we're worried about. Once it gets to the east right here, you're going to start to see those isolated cells pop up into this moderate risk right here. And that's going to be that that time frame that is going to be the kind of concern for everybody. That's the time to listen to your weather warnings, listen to your, you know, statements from your weather stations, your local meteorologists, and have that plan in place to get everybody safe tonight. Let's just try to do this right and get everybody home safe and make it to tomorrow. So I'll update you as I need to. If there's any changes that the National Weather Service puts out or anything like that, I can do another live stream and let you guys know what is going on. One way or the other, there's a lot of other individuals that stream live on these storms when they come along. Check YouTube. Somebody will be on there, you know, letting you know what's going on with it. Just look around. I'm sure a lot of people will be covering it. The chasers, I'm sure, will be out tonight. This is one of those nights that is a golden night, to, you know, for them. So I'm sure that they'll be out there. Chasers, please be careful tonight. It's going to be at night. You're chasing these things in the dark. It gets very, very dangerous. A lot of heavy rain. You guys know, man. It gets muddy. You get stuck. Bad things happen. So definitely, if you're out there chasing tonight, please be careful. Please be safe, and please be smart. And I wish everybody the best. And I'll do another video if I do need to. Please stay safe tonight, and, you know, heed to the warnings tonight. Alrighty, so thank you very much for joining me. I hope that everybody stays safe, and I hope that everybody will join me again tomorrow. And we'll go through the rest of the week and see what we got going on for the weather for the future here in the future forecasting. I appreciate you guys joining me. Have a good one.